Welcome to the doghouse. I'm giving myself the Armpit of the Year award. Sitting here talking on here, then realized my mic's unplugged. So let's try this again. Hopefully, I'm smart enough to figure that one out again next time. But this is about, are you a pet lover? Do you like animals? And if so, why? Do you believe that a person that does not like animals have a tendency not to be good people? And I don't mean because they don't have a pet. Sometimes there's just no way or reason to have a pet for people, and that's okay. I got into a time that I didn't have an animal either, but I grew up around animals constantly. They were there. I'm not talking about the cows or sheep. There's a lot of them there too. But when you grow up around animals and you treat animals with dignity, and I'm not this way out there PETA type of person. I'm not. Humans come first to me, but I love animals and they do become part of your family. A good example is that my sister, one time, she just passed away this week. When I was in junior high, I think, or even maybe in grade school through high school, we had this part lab that she gave my dad. That dog hung around me, and we did everything together. We really did. We'd go bike riding together. I didn't have it on the bike, obviously, but it'd follow me on the bike. I'd go fishing and sit on the river bank, and that dog would be right with me. And then at times when this would happen, she'd get hot and she would go lay down upstream. She would not bother me where I was fishing. And when I graduated high school, she was still alive. She's really old by that point. But one time I come home to see my mom and dad after I graduated, and she wasn't doing very well. And she had this little shed type thing she loved to go lay in. I went out and loved her and talked to her and all that. And the next morning, she had passed away. She waited for me to come home to love her. She waited because she wanted my arms around her. And that is a true story. And that really, really happened. And this happens to me quite a bit with animals. I've worked around cattle and sheep, but pets are a little different than that. Most people that have pets will enjoy them so much. They will do everything and anything. They become part of your family. Now, PETA goes way, way extreme in my opinion. So I like animals, but I don't believe in their extremes they go. And what I mean by pets is what we have at home and have around us. Some people like snakes. I don't. I don't have snakes around my house. I don't have rodents around my house. It's been mainly dogs and cats I've had. Like I said, that one waited for me to come home to die. And when I bought this place here, and I didn't know it, it come with two cats. They left them here and didn't even take them with them. And one of them's still alive, and it's got to be 16, 17 years old. She don't like to go out of the house anymore. I got two other cats that I rescued. They got caught up under my shed, and I got them out. They don't wander too far either. I have a coon hound, and I have a part terrier. The part terrier is my wife's. But when you love animals, I think your heart is in a better place as a whole. Most of the animals I've had has been at least 16, 17 years old before they pass away. and it's like losing a member of your family all the time when that happens. Now, the last one, uh, it's weird. Okay, the one I was saying about I had in high school and passed away. Years later, after I was married, this dog showed up 100% identical to that one. And I'd be the first one that'd come up to in that. But it was a lab and it was a little rambunctious. Somebody had dropped it off. And it was fixed and everything. I think they wanted it for a hunting dog, and it was worthless as a hunting dog because it wouldn't even come close to doing it. But it was exactly the same as that one. And that one was probably about 15, 16 years old when it passed away. But it had all the same traits as that other one I had. The coonhound was about 2 years old, 2.5 years old I have now. We had a pug that was about 16, 17-year old when it passed away. And I knew, and it's been uh, not even a year ago, he passed away. And he was a funny pug. The neighbors spent like $300 to get him at one time. And she come over to the house one day and said, Darwin, would you take this pug? They bought it for breeding purposes, but it never happened. And because it was mean to the other pugs. But it wasn't really being mean. I could go over there and it'd listen to whatever I said, and it would obey me. And they were just blown by it because he didn't like listening to the two ladies. And when we got it home, because they next door, the problem with the pug was it did not like to take orders from a woman. That's true. This dog hated it if a woman tell it what to do. And if a woman come up by the fence, it would start flipping grass and everything up in the air and actually strut around the yard. Didn't do that with the guys, but if it was a woman, he would do that. My wife used to, and my little sister would always tell me it was a chauvinist pig just because he knew what he liked. He was going to make sure they knew he was there and strutting around the yard and the whole bit. It was funny they'd leave and he wouldn't do it. So, your animals do mean a lot to you, and they are a comfort. There's therapy dogs and that, but you don't need, for the most part, unless it's a kid or whatever, a therapy dog is one you can have and cherish and love. You don't need to be trained for that. That dog knows. Yeah, I've had animals that sense problems. This one that we picked up, we called him, that passed away at old age. We called her, well, the first one was Sam, but this dog, well, Hank, yeah, right, Hank's the one I got now. Happy could sense drugs. If you had a bag of drugs, prescription drugs, because I don't do illegal drugs, that dog would sniff them out and want to eat them. You had to keep any drug away from him because he'd get in a bottle and eat it. He did that with a bunch of vitamin pills, dog vitamin pills. Boy, was that ever fun. But why is people so mean and ornery to dogs and cats? Their heart is so misplaced in life that they have to be mean and ornery to animals because they are part of your family. They will be part of your family. And it's fun to be around them. It really is. And when you get older like me and retired, they're even funner. Except the only problem is now the two we got, damn, they want me to go out, run, and jump in the snow with them and play in the snow. I'm like, that's not for me. But they think I'm supposed to do it, but too old to do a lot of that. I'll play with them a little bit outside, but that not a lot. But they go in the house. They love my wife to death. Matter of fact, they harass her a lot of times. See who can sit the closest to her, who gets sit behind her in the chair. They'll crawl behind her back. But and there's people out there that willing to kill animals just because they're there. Their heart is so hardened that they cannot comprehend the love of an animal. They will use that animal for their own self deal and get rid of it at that time. I don't believe in dog fighting, cockfighting, or anything like that either. I think that's a disgusting habit to be in and have an animal to do that with. I've been around labs, Irish setters, pit bulls, the whole bit. Haven't owned all of them, but been around them. When you love animals, you have a different perspective in life usually. And that perspective is a lot of is love. People that hate animals are usually, for the most part, haters in life. They hate everything. An animal can be your companion if you're alone. And like I said, I'm not talking about the ones that are licensed, that just any of them. I've gotten the one I got now, the bigger one. Well, one from the dog pound, the shorter one, because it was ugly and nobody wanted it. It's about a year old. I got the other one from the Humane Society that we have now. I don't want to go raise animals or pups or anything else. We got them because it's already there. And they're all, both of them are fixed, and life goes on with them. And I've seen so many people in love with their animals so much, and that's good. I had a cousin, and she died of Alzheimer's, but my one brother and her were about the same age, and they used to be buddies. Well, she could not remember my brother's name. But my brother at one time went up there and she had this beautiful white cat. My brother went up there and said, well, I should cut this cat's tail off. She could not remember his name. She would hide the cat from him when he seen him. She'd tell my mom, that man's coming up here to cut my cat's tail off, and it'd be hid. She remembered that what he said about the cat, even though she had Alzheimer's, that she remembered. It's interesting that people do that. Not that my brother would ever cut her cat's tail off because he wouldn't have done that. And I know all kinds of fun stories about that, about things like that and animals. When you think back to your childhood, or even if you didn't have an animal, people that had animals around you, how loving most of them were. Some would abuse animals, and I always hated that. But them that really loved animals would stand out, and you would see them, even if you weren't or didn't have animals. You could see that, or if you had animals, others that didn't have animals, seeing how you reacted. There's things they say I really don't know. Now, this comes from a guy that's animals last forever with him. We feed them a lot of table scraps, and they say, "Oh no, no, we don't do that." They're living. Think about it. If they were that bad, they'd been passed away. Yes, we mainly dog food, but you get a few scraps, you just give it to them. It don't hurt them. Vets will tell you no, no, but guess what? Being experienced will tell you a little different. You, most people, and I have a gripe with this. I have a big yard so they can run, but I've seen people go out and get a big dog with nowhere to run. That's kind of hard on them. My place is completely fenced so they can run. I just wanted to get on here a few minutes. I'd like to hear from you guys about some of your pets and your pets' experience. I hope you all have a great, great night. Thanks for coming on.